Hotel, peace. It's your boy Reno from the Berg, back in the building. You know what I'm saying? Coming at y'all once again with some real knowledge. First, to my kings, queens, gods, and goddesses, I'd like to first like to read you the infamous letter known as the Willie Lynch letter, so that we kind of know where we're coming from and what exactly I'm talking about here right now. So, bottom line, I'm gonna just read the letter. Okay, boom. It starts off, gentlemen, which is a fucking trip. He called them gentlemen, but anyway. I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with the slaves. At your invitation reached me in my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still oldest method of mind control for slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the River James, named after our illustrious King James, whose Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that our problem is not unique. While Rome used cords or wood as crosses for standing human bodies along the old highways in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are losing valuable stock by hangings. You are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, there goes that word again. You know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I'm here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce to you a method of solving them. In my bag, I have a foolproof, remember that word, foolproof. I have a foolproof method for controlling your slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or overseer can use it. I guess he's saying there that they some simple motherfuckers, the slave owners. So to continue on, I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy to control the slaves for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On the top of my list is age, but it is only there because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantation, attitude of owner, and whether the slaves live in a valley, on a hill, east or west or north or south, have fine or coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of the differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling. Remember that word too, self-refueling, and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black versus the young black males, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male slaves, and the male versus the female. You must always have your servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Never miss an opportunity. My plan is guaranteed. And the good thing about this plan is that if it's used intensely for 1 year, the slave will remain perpetually distrustful. William Lynch, 1772. The letter above is one of the major problems of African American race today. Now that is true. And and with this knowledge, we as a race can and will overcome. So with this letter still in your mind, I ask that you enlighten someone else and send this letter to as many brothers and sisters. And I ask you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, do you follow any of these mechanisms that were bred into your ancestors? Do you hate those that are lighter or darker than you? Do you hate women or men? Do you hate the elderly or the young? Because if so, you have been Willie Lynched, my brothers. Now we as a race must start somewhere in learning our problems. What better place than the document that started the destruction of our most powerful race? In my research I found the William Lynch speech is an address purportedly delivered by a certain William Lynch, or Willie Lynch, to an audience on the bank of the James River in Virginia in 1712 regarding control of slaves within the colony. The letter purports to be a verbatim account of the short speech given by a slave owner in which he tells the other slave masters that he has discovered the secret to controlling black slaves by setting them against one another. The document has been in print since at least 1970. The document has been in print since at least 1970, but the first gained widespread notice in the 1990s when it appeared on the internet. Since then, it has often been promoted as an authentic account of slavery during the 18th century, though its inaccuracies and anachronisms have led historians to conclude that it is a hoax. It is not a fucking hoax, people. What it is it is a sad truth. Now, the letter itself may be fabricated, but its contents are exactly the methods used during slavery and have still affected and are still affected and used to this very day. The reputed narrator, William Lynch, identifies himself as the master of a modest plantation in the British West Indies, who has been summoned to the Virginia colonies by local slave owners to advise them on the problems that they have been having in managing their slaves. He briefly notes that their current violent method of handling unruly slaves, or lynching, though the term is not used, is insufficient or inefficient and counterproductive. Instead, he suggests that they adopt this method, which consists of exploiting differences such as age, skin color, in order to pit slaves against each other. This method, he ensures, to his host, will control their slaves for at least 300 sick years. Some online versions of the text attach introductions, such as a foreword attributed to Frederick Douglass, or citations falsely giving Lynch's name as the source for the word lynching. That is, in fact, false. The text of the speech has been published since at least 1970. It appeared on the internet as early as 1993 when a reference librarian at the University of Missouri St. Louis posted the document on the library's Gopher server. The librarian later revealed that she had obtained the document from the publisher of a local newspaper, the St. Louis Black Pages, in which the narrative had recently appeared. The librarian elected to leave the document on the Gopher server as she believed that even as an inauthentic document, it does say something about the former or current state of African America, which is very true, but added a warning about its provenance. The text contains numerous anachronisms, including words and phrases such as refueling, remember? I told you to remember that, and foolproof, which were not in use until the early 20th century. These words were not used back when this letter was supposedly had written. Additionally, historian Roy Rosenzweig notes that the divisions emphasized in the text, skin color, age, and gender, are distinctly 20th century in nature and make little sense in an 18th century context. As such, historians such as Rosenzweig and Jelani Cobb of Spelman College regard the William Lynch speech as a hoax. Attached to some online versions of the speech credit the narrator's name as the source of the terms lynching and lynch law, despite the narrator specifically advocating against lynching. In reality, a man named William Lynch did indeed claim to have originated the term during the American Revolutionary War, but he was not born until 1742, 30 years after the alleged delivery of the speech, man. So do your research. A document published in the Southern Literary Messenger in 1836 that proposed William Lynch as the originator of the Lynch Law may have been a hoax perpetrated by the famous poet Edgar Allan Poe. A better documented early use of the term Lynch law comes from Charles Lynch, a Virginia justice of the peace and militia officer during the American Revolution. Now I want y'all to make sure that you watch part 2 of this video. Go ahead and click on part 2 now.